Good evening, everybody. July 23rd, 2021. Let's take a look at Bitcoin and see what it is doing. So, I have the daily chart pulled up here to start with. As you know, I've been watching this blue downward trend line very, very closely, and the green upward trend line that we had going on here, and watching that breakdown, expecting the retest of it, and was really looking for whether or not we were going to reject that retest and come down, or if we were going to break through and come up above it. And as you see, we are clearly now, there is no argument, clearly above it. We closed a daily candle above it with this last one right here. Yesterday's daily close put us firmly above that line, whereas before, the day before, it was still potentially just a retest of that green. So, that being said, that is a gigantic mark in the bull column, and leads me to not the complete conclusion that the bear segment is over and we won't see a lower low, but it is certainly a good indication, and I would expect at this point in a normal market for this to come down at some point and retest, and then we come back up, and that would then be the end of the bear market, and we can progress upwards into the bull market again. This being a very difficult market, a manipulated market, whatever else you want to call it, it's certainly something that we need to still be careful with, and just watch on the lower time frames still for more clear indication of what might happen. So just looking at some of these things on the daily chart here that we still have to get through. We have the daily 50 MA here at 34.3, and the daily cloud, actually we're butting up against the daily cloud just about now. That will very likely provide some resistance here. The only way that does not is if we get the short squeeze, which is what I've been talking about the past couple days as a possibility. As we got here and we approached this green line, I was saying, it really should reject in a normal scenario, unless we get that short squeeze, unless we get some push up here and we start liquidating shorts. We haven't done it yet. We really need to see some larger volume, like right here. Volume spike right here, right? We really don't have the volume coming in at the moment, and we probably won't for the next couple of days because it's a weekend. Although, at the same time, weekends can be great times for big moves to happen because there are less people trading, and so manipulators can use that time to really push price around where they want. I think most likely what we'll see this weekend, if it does pump up, would be that it's simply setting us up to dump early in the week then. So I always say weekends are bullshit, right? So whatever happens on the weekend usually reverses right at the beginning of the week. So if we come up here a little bit over the weekend, maybe we press up to 34, even 35, whatever, I would not then be surprised at all by a dump back down into the 32 region at the beginning of the week, and then that's really going to be the zone to watch there as it retests this green line, and we'll watch the daily RSI as well at that time to see if we hold that, and then we can progress upwards from there. So that's what we're looking at on the daily. Still work to do, but a very, very good sign for the bulls. Let's go down to the hourly chart here and try to divulge some of the secrets that it may hold. We are still very overbought on the RSI, on the PPO. I said last night that this is feeling very much like the start of a bull market. because it's just pressing upwards, it didn't matter that it was oversold. It continued pressing up, and we are seeing that more right now. If that continues to happen this weekend, just grinding upwards, like I said, again, that leads me to the expectation that right around Sunday night or Monday morning, beginning of the week, we get a nasty sell-off back into the 32 region and kind of try to take out as many of these longers as we can. They will very likely have their stops right underneath this zone, and so I would say probably we're going to come down actually and take out those stops. So we could even come back down into the 31s and then progress upwards if it's going to do that. That's obviously conjecture at this point, but it's not something that would surprise me in the slightest, and it would give all these indicators a chance to reset for the next leg up if it's going to happen. Excuse me. So let's just take a look here and try to figure out if there's anything that we can say with this count. Obviously at this point I was looking at the orange and had this line here as the invalidation of that orange count. So that is invalidated now because 4 cannot be above 2, and that's what we'd have to do. So that is out. So I'm deleting that off now. Delete that line, okay. Yellow bearish count, like I said, still is not invalidated until this 2 is taken out. That's 36.6. So we still have some work to do there. And if you remember on the daily, we've got the daily 50 right around 34.3. So there may be just a little bit more to do before we get a dump back down. I don't really trust, I have not trusted diagonals very much this entire time because we continued to have, like right here, there's a diagonal, we broke out and then we died, right? In this choppy market, diagonals do not necessarily mean anything. I have them on there as something that I need to be aware of, but I'm not counting on them necessarily. So anyway, we have broken that diagonal, so we will just have to see if it holds. But this, I'm going to get rid of this little red here. So I have to modify this to 3 here for the bearish count to see what it would look like instead. And the best I can figure, it would be something like this. We have something like an ABC right here. Let me get rid of this wave count. Okay. ABC there. We've got A. Hang on, I had this figured out beforehand. ABC. And I think A, and I was looking at B and C. No, that doesn't make any sense. This, okay, sorry. I was looking at this as the A. There we go. A, B, and C. And let me see if that makes sense based on the fib extensions here. Yeah, just barely. Let me change that to yellow. So C should not exceed 1.236, and that's exactly where it bounced there. So the reason that I was unsure of this being ABC down, and it looked more like a diagonal 5 down, is because of all this chop. But really we have within this we have like A, B, C within A. We have a little A, B, C within B, and then we have A, B, and C within C. So it is possible, and I guess you could count it more like a WXY since it's 3 ABCs together, but just for clarity we would do ABC. Now the bearish, the way that this can count bearishly is if we then get A, B, and C further up, and let's see now where that would target, now that we have a little bit more to play with. We would look for rejection between the 618 and the 1236 here, which lo and behold is that 36.6 region. It should not cross that if it's going to come down. Okay, so I'm going to take that off now. There's our little red resistance. Let me take this off. Okay, so resistance zone we're coming up on here for this to reject downwards, and then we can get an A, B, C down to still give us a lower 3. And basically what this does then is each one of these, this ABC, 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 gives us a, on the larger scale, an A, B, and C down. And that is the bearish case for this still, even though the bulls have taken out that RSI resistance. This is how I would say the bearish play could happen. So this is what we need to watch for, and that lines up nicely with that 36.6 as well. We should see rejection somewhere in that red box if the bearish count is going to play out. Okay. And let me do this. We're going to go like sub-micro on these. Because I want to put on here the larger A, B, and C that I'm looking at here. Let's make that just a bit larger. What do I want to do? Yeah, maybe the micro will do like that, and just make it a different color. Okay, so that's within the yellow count. Our larger ABC like that. Okay. All right, so that's what we're looking at there. I had taken off the bullish count before because this extended a bit below where it should have. That green box was where it should have done, should have ended for the bullish count to play out, but I'm going to put it back on just to have it on here now. Even though that's a little bit further, it did not breach 1, and you know, bullish surprise here is a possibility. So I'm going to call this possible 1 and 2 in the more bullish count, and what we should then see from here is something along these lines. This would be 1, there's 2, 3, has to go between the 1382 and the 1618, so we need to see a strong push up, 4 down to between the 1 and the 764, and then 5 up between the 1764 and the 2.0 if this plays out impulsively. And based on all this chop, I guess it probably won't play out impulsively. It very well could just do a diagonal upwards if it's going to do this. But that's the best place to keep an eye on this bullish alternative anyway. These, let me put this up here, back in there. I'm going to put that in blue parentheses, back on the chart as an alternative possibility. If we break 36.6, then we look for, let me just put a red box here. We look for this zone for 3. We look for this zone for 4. And we look for this zone for 5. Like so. Okay, so that is the story. That is the story that we're looking at right now. 36.6 is kind of the bear bull line right there to determine which one of these paths is most likely. And rejecting before 36.6 does put us back in danger of going back to complete this bearish count, just in a way that that is playing out a little bit differently than I had originally imagined it would. So, all right, this video is a little bit longer than I anticipated, and I'm sorry for the mess up with the ABCs in here, but it's a lot of chop that's hard to keep track of. But anyway, that should give you a pretty decent overview of where we are. Not the time to get aggressively bullish still. If we break above 36.6, I cannot argue with doing some small longs. I would take profit in the 40K range though, because we should meet some resistance there. That also is a possible other trend line here if you go back to the daily. There's the downtrend from this peak to this peak here. It's coming in right around that 40K region. So if we do get continued pumpage, that is a good place to sort of hedge some shorts or take some profits, and then potentially rebuy around this 36.6 region that is so important to us right now. It should be important again as support then later on. So all right, guys, let's see where we are in the morning. Let's see how the weekend shakes out, and we'll go from there. All right, good night.